We're now live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the licensing panel. Before we formally start, can I ask members to check that their phones are on off or silent, please? Can I just remind everybody that this is a public meeting and that the proceeds are being recorded and broadcast. My name is Ian Leake and I'm the chairman of the panel. I have with me Councillor Brossard and Councillor Allen, who will be assisting. If I could ask other members present to introduce themselves, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Amanda Ward, one of the licensing officers for Public Protection Partnership.
Thank you.
Wayne Scott, Traffic Manager for Egham Forest Council.
Thank you.
In the previous one, it was Hatis Anil Bankar, but after the divorce, it's become Hatis Anil Os, license holder.
And Donald Adams, legal advisor.
Thank you.
And Hannah Harding Clark.
Thank you. Item 1 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Can I ask members to confirm that they have no interest to declare?
No interest to declare, Chairman.
No interest to declare, Chairman, thank you.
And I have no interest to declare. The item 2 on the agenda is to note the procedure for hearings at licensing panels, and that information is contained at pages 3 to 8 of your agenda pack. And this is an application to renew the street trading consent for B&B plus kebabs, intending to operate at Crowthorne Road North. I will explain first of all the order of today's meeting. I will ask the licensing officer, Amanda Ward, to present the report in respect of the application. I will then ask the objector who has made representations to put their case. Secondly, I will ask Hatis Anil Os to present her case as to why the application should be granted. There will be opportunity to ask questions of all participants. However, questions must be directed through the chair and there's no cross-examination. Before we finish, both sides will be invited to sum up their case, and I will ask you to confirm that everyone has said everything they wish to in respect of this application. At this point, the panel will leave the room and will make their decision in private. The participants will be asked to remain in the room and the panel will return when we are ready to indicate our decision. The panel's decision will also be communicated in writing to everyone within 2 working days, and it will be published on the Council's website. Before we actually begin, can I check that those present have received all the copies of the papers, and in the agenda pack that we have in front of us, the agenda papers go up to page 70. Can everyone confirm that they have received that information, please? Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, there's also the additional page of the map,
Oh, yes, the
the
map.
plan.
Yes.
Has everyone had that?
Yes, we have the map, thank you. Right, in that case, could I ask Amanda Ward from the Public Protection Partnership to present their case, and if they happen to refer to pages in the agenda pack, could I ask them to indicate what that page is so that we can all follow it easily? Thank you. Amanda.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm here today to present the report, officer's report, in relation to a renewal application for a street trading consent. The application was received from Mrs. Hatis Anel Oz, and it was received on the 3rd of November 2022. The application was for the pitch that was currently being used, and that was situated at Crowthorne Road North, and it's been in situ since 2017. Due to the the new development works that were due to start in relation to the Coopers Hills community facility, the situation of the pitch licensing became aware that there was going to be a road closure and works were going to commence. So to this effect, officers instigated Section 5 of the street trading policy, which can be found on page, excuse me, I'll just find further. Page 11 of members' pack. Section 5 covers reviewing of existing consents, and I'd just like to state that as far as officers are aware and following a records check, there's been no issues or complaints received in relation to that particular pitch, but purely because of the impending development, it was deemed that the application should go out to statutory consultation, which is also contained in the street trading policy. So the consultation ran from the 3rd of November until the 1st of December, and during that time, licensing received one objection from the traffic manager, who's here today, in relation to the application. With this in mind, it's felt that the application needed to come to committee to make a decision as to whether the pitch will be suitable ongoing in that particular location. I'd just like to note that the application was for a renewal, and it was for a 6-month renewal, which, had it been granted, it would have been granted from the 7th of November through to the 6th of April. And at that point, then the application would have also then been needed to be renewed at that time. Following the consultation period, licensing received 23 supporting emails of the application to renew, which are also contained within members' packs, and also one objection or comments in relation to not renew that application from the developer of the new development. Officers looked at the policy and determined that although these had come in following the 28 statutory consultation period, that it was deemed that it should be relevant for members to actually view those supporting and that objection that came in. I mean, in doing that, I took into account, again, the wording that was in the street trading policy. I don't feel there's anything else that I can add at this time. If obviously councillors have any questions that I can answer, then by all means do so.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. Can I ask panel members, are there any questions? Councillor Allen.
I realise that the pitch is currently suspended.
Yes.
If we were to grant a 6-month application, does it start from when the pitch reopens, or is it backdated to the November start?
My understanding would be that the pitch would be from the 7th of November until April. I appreciate there's a fee being paid for this particular renewal, and that would need to be a discussion with the applicant and the licensing manager as to whether or not there'd be a refund in the fee or whether or not there would be an extension to the consent. My understanding of the legislation would be that there would be a renewal and there'd have to be another consultation on that particular pitch.
Well, following up from that, do we have any anticipation of when that pitch will reopen? Because it's currently still closed, and at the moment we have no indication of when it will open.
I can't answer that, Councillor, but maybe Mr. Scott would be able to answer
I'll
that.
ask it later.
Councillor
Thank you.
Brassard.
Yes, thank you very much. Amanda, a couple of questions that I've got. You mentioned the 7th of November to April. That would effectively be 5 months rather than 6 months.
So well, it would be a 6. So it would be a 6 months. So November, December, January, February, March, April.
Is 5. Right, okay then, fine. Okay, yeah. When in April? Would it be the 6th of April?
Yes.
So it would be for a 6-month period. Fine, okay then. Something which I don't know if you're in a position to answer, and I might have to ask the applicant. On page 32, it's an email that was sent by Jodie Wilson to the applicant, and in the last paragraph there were 3 questions which were asked to do with odour control, how the van will be powered, and whether there'll be a generator. And I think only the odour control was answered. Do we know if we've got... I may need to ask the question of the applicant on that, but it's with regard to 3 questions that Jodie asked. And in fact, I think the answer that was given was only to do with my licence is for 6 months, it said. But the other 2 questions, do you have the answers to
I
that? You
don't have the
Fine.
answers.
In that case then, thank you, Chairman. I will ask the applicant when the time comes. Thank you very much for this order. Nothing else, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I now ask the applicant if there are any points of clarification or questions that you wish to ask the licensing officer?
Yes.
Could I ask, could you lower your microphone?
Of
a little?
course.
Thank you. Carry on.
Okay. When I have been contacted by the licensing team in May, June time, I have been informed that around July the 1st, all the way down to 12 weeks till September, the pitch might be likely to be closed for 3 months, 12 weeks. As far as I remember, it was Brian Arthur has been contacted me in that time, and I said that's fine, no problem whatsoever regarding that, because it's the road needs to be digged up and the work needs to be done. We just can't trade from there. I was happy with that, but they said to me in that time, if there was a 12 weeks shutting period, and what we will do regarding the licensing fee, we will take that 12 weeks and adding into the when you start the trading again in that time. So this has been sent to me in emails, and have talked about this as well. So now it is completely different. You mentioned, Mrs. Ward, about this.
That would have been my colleague that sent that email, and it would have to be a licensing manager that made the decision to extend it for 3 months. But that would be something that I'm sure if members wished that to happen, then they could put that forward and make that agreement today.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, one more question. It's about the questions about Jodie Wilson. When I made the application for a premise license in 2017 or 18, I brought it in. I bought it a silent generator for the van because it will be applied for a nighttime trading, and I assumed the person which is from the environmental health officer, because they came to visit me in that time, I'm talking about 2018, I had the assumption of she knew we had the silent generator, Honda, and she came and had made the visit, so that has been covered in that time. That was the reason I didn't, I only replied to answer for 6 months. And I remember very clearly Mr. Brosal has been attended to the checking to the van in 2018 about the noise and the smell, because I remember very clearly Sir was in the panel hearing for the premise license in that year, around 4 years ago, 5 years ago, yeah.
Do you have any more questions?
No, that's it, sorry, that's it,
So you have, just to be clear, you have no more questions for the license at this point. Thank you. In that case, we'll move on to the objector. Mr. Scott, if you could put forward your comments, please.
Thank you, Chair. When I received the consultation on the extension for the licence, it coincided with some discussions with the developer about closing the road, and so that was mentioned, and then it was discussed about the actual suitability of the pitch following the works to the highway in terms of section 278 for the development. Two things have happened as part of the development. One being that the amount of available parking for the pitch to be in has reduced from around about 32 metres to 20 metres. Part of that, what would be unrestricted after 6 o'clock parking, was factored into the viability of the development for visitor parking. My understanding is that the pitch would take up a considerable portion of that parking, which may affect the suitability of the development in terms of visitor parking. The other thing, obviously, is that the suitability of the site, given that the site has changed from being a community facility, which didn't have any parking issues because it had its own parking, has changed because it's now going to be a residential area with properties fronting the area where the kebab van will be situated. Yeah, and so for the term of the extension, my understanding was that by the time the end of the works, which are still in progress, were complete, it wouldn't be long afterwards that the marketing suite would be open for the public to come and view the marketing suite. And that is most of the basis of my objection, based on the fact that the traffic, the past traffic transactions along that road were minimal, but have been exacerbated by Uber Eats and Deliveroo deliveries to the kebab van as well, so that's increased at a time when we're reducing the parking availability.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, Mr. Scott, do you know how much space the kebab van takes up in its designated area?
I have seen it in place, and I haven't measured it precisely, but I would say it'd be about 4 to 5 metres.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have any questions?
Yes, just on the new map. Do you know whereabouts you said it was 32, gone down from 32 metres to 20 metres. Is that at the southern end or the northern end? Have we lost any at the northern end, or is it all at the southern end? Is that where the ingress for the new estate is, or something?
The two bell mouths into the development, there's like an in and an out, although it's not that arrangement, have taken up parts of both sides of the thing. So I haven't got the measurements in front of me, but they've both been reduced to fit a number of parking spaces.
Right, because I'm sort of looking at this sort of red line on this adjusted map. You should have one in front of you. Is that sort of representative of where the 20 metres currently is, or is that the original 32 metres?
It's split into two.
Right.
So there's a piece about 10 metres at the top end.
Yeah.
Then there's a break because of a bell mouth into and out of the development.
Got it.
And then there's another section of about another 10 metres.
Right. And in terms of is there currently works traffic parking there at the moment, or is it all fenced off because they're doing the pavement parking?
It's currently all fenced off because there have been some utility service connections,
right.
But they are currently in the throes of actually building the bell mouths into the site, and there may be some other utilities yet to declare themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Brassard?
Thanks very much. Mr. Scott, a couple of questions that you mentioned just now about the Bellmouth and the access into the site. Is there a forecast date for when that work will be completed?
I don't have a current date. It should be in February.
Fine, thank you. A couple of, if I can, Chairman. Am I correct that the first occupation of the properties, whether it's flats or houses, is scheduled for September of this year?
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
I thought it was actually in the report.
I only have the date for when the marketing suite will be open.
Right, now that will be?
That was April, yeah.
Right, okay then. One other question. I think you mentioned about Market Street, didn't you? Did you mention Market Street in the flats or not? You didn't, fine, okay then, because it's just I'm thinking about, there is a similar situation of development that's taken place in Market Street. There's also a kebab van that is there, and there are flats on both sides. Also, I'm aware that in reading the report, that in 5 years there have actually been no complaints about this particular operation in situ. And also, the other thing that is worth bearing in mind, I feel, is that on page 10, environmental health had actually raised no objections, and they've obviously considered the application as submitted. Do you have any comment to make on that, can I ask?
I think the environmental health had no comments concerning the extension, but I think they made note that if it was to go on beyond the opening of the development, then there would be, they would need to have a discussion, or there needs to be a new application or something.
Right.
I thought I read that.
Thank you. In fact, specifically on 3.4, it actually says no objection rather than no comment.
Right, I think in the wording of
They have no objection to the application, 3.4.
Yeah, but if you read the letter, the email from Environmental Health, find it. Yeah.
Page 31.
Page 31.
Yeah, page 31.
Okay.
I therefore have no object to this application. However, should a further application be sought to extend the licence in future when the development has progressed, I would then have concerns about the location and hours proposed. and we'll be asking for the applicant to provide reassurance with regards to noise and odour controls.
Fine, right, in that case, yes, it's a question, right, fine, thank you very much. That answers Lynn's question, thank you, Chairman.
A final question from me, I think, Mr. Scott. If you look at the map again, and you look at that red portion that is delineated there, you mentioned a bell mouth into the existing development, which of course isn't shown on this map. Would I be correct in assuming that that bell mouth starts approximately halfway down that red line area?
Yeah, about that.
Fine, okay. And at the top of that red section, where there is that grey banding with some lines through it, am I correct in believing that those are the steps down to the subway passage footway? Yes, yes, fine. And the end there is a closed end at the top of that red line.
It's a footway,
Footway,
and a
yes.
cycleway, yeah.
Non-traffic area.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I ask the applicant, do you have any questions for Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir. On that road, there are three bays. On the left-hand side, 2 lots of them. On the map.
Yes.
On the right-hand side, there is one more as well. Is between the
Sorry, just clarify where you're looking on the map. Is it the red line? I can
red
see you
line-
pointing at
red
it.
line and also the bottom bit as well, where there was a curly bit. So that is just, there are like along that red line, there are 2 bays, and also the one on the bottom on the right hand side of the road, there is another lay-by as well in there. Now, for the moment, since we were trading in there were some residents using those bays, especially above the train station, the platform, and the development has been done. So the whole these...
I don't want to interrupt you, but the point is, have you got any questions?
Yes,
And you'll
question,
be able
yes,
to
yes.
make
I wonder
your-
whether has he got the map about, because I think from the building has got 2 entrances, one going in, one going out. So from that bay, is it from each of the bay, the line's going to be cut through, or is it just going to be one bay has been chopped part of it?
I do have a plan of the actual design, if that would be of help for everyone. I've only got one copy of it, but I can spread it out, which would demonstrate.
Now, can we establish, is this the existing or proposed?
This is the proposed, as it's being built as we speak, as will be lined. So the red line.
Or you turn that one off.
So the red line would have been from a bit further down here to there, and is now just these 2 bits here. So this is the new bell mouth coming out. This is new bell mouth going in. That's the existing other side of parking bays.
Is that the verge? Is that a grass verge there?
Verge will be, yeah, there is a verge, a little
Yeah.
footway.
So those ones there on the right-hand side, which is, this is the applicant
Yeah.
referred to,
Yeah.
those can still be used?
Yes.
Why couldn't they, presume they could still be used for parking for the kebab van?
They could. I think part of the original application, the conditions were that the kebab van couldn't be facing the Bagshot Road in terms of attracting
Not
people.
the van itself, but parking. People parking to attend the van could park there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If there's spaces, yeah. I'll leave that there.
Do you have any further questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Right. It is now your opportunity, Ms. Zod, to present your case.
Okay, so if all of us can look into the,
Just press the arrows.
yeah, that's fine, onto the last page, on the page 65, sorry. You can see this is from the developers.
Sorry, page
65, sir.
It's a copy of the presentation.
So the developers mentions about the first resident start from September 2023 and having an impact of the safety of residents arriving and leaving the development. And this is a high quality new homes to the town centre. Now, I want everybody looking at the two different businesses. One of them is being published in 1958. It's a multi-million pound businesses, you know, providing lots of jobs for quite a lot of considerable people. And on the other side, we have got a B&B Plus Kebab, established 2017, made a good reputation in the local community and having a great, you know, community engagement. This is the site map I have received from the Freedom of Information. So, as you can see in here, the highlighted bit, which is the yellow highlighters, is where the bays are, parking bays. And we always parked on the first up near to the substation. So behind the where we are parking, we are facing our shutters towards the pavement. So all the cyclists who goes through, they actually pass through behind. There are walking by people, and these are the developers' parking spots. So this is nowhere near to the housing gardens or anywhere near. So if you can see, you can go into the development. Nearby residence is going to be not houses, a block of flats, which is the block A. Yeah. I have received this from the councils. And then the left, they're going to be leaving just other side of the road in here. So if I want to laser point that, so they're going to be leaving in here. If we parked our van in this side, then that would be a dangerous situation. But if we park our van in here, I can understand Mr. Wayne's comments about they need to be enjoying their back garden, the new residents. It will be this and that. I can understand that. But our shutter will be looking at that way. But if we always parked in there, sir, and we never had a problem. And some of the environmental report mention about the noises, odor, and everything. This is the main 3065 Backshot Road. There's a huge roundabout in here. There's a flats in here, and the train station, railway station, the noise level from there. So is the development going to ask trains to be stopped and not working? Is the development going to be asking, or the traffic going to be asking, we need to stop the traffic because of the residents going to get disturbed? Now, we park the substation, and this area in here, normally they put their bins and recycling bits and stuff in the where the buildings, where the apartments are. This is Mr. Scott's. So parking restriction may be prolonged due to the operational factors of construction phase, such as deliveries and access. And it's going to be completed in April 2023. Will be front gardens, residential houses will be directly impacted as a result of kebab ban situation. Parking base also been adjusted. And safety as the cars entering and leaving the development with the presence of the kebab van on the Croton Road North. But you can see when the cars are coming in, the kebab van will be situated in there. There are not going to be any disruption or distraction. At the moment, the road is already, the cars are going in, going out. The platform flats are parking in here. So it's already, residents are parking in here. This is where the stairs underneath pass. There are cyclists driving in here. They are going there, underpass, using it, underpass that way as well. And also could create crowds, groups of people gathering in front of the residential homes, and who would like to enjoy their privacy and enjoyment. The crowds could potentially impact cyclists, other road users, as a development brings more people into the local area. If you look at that, if we park in there, the people who's been coming and picking up their food, getting out of the train station and stuff like that, will not going to be. The smell will not going to be going to any of the parking spots. And the private houses are in here. Further down, basically, further down, next to the church. There's a church in here. Ambulance in this site. So most of the houses has been built on the other side rather than towards the train station. Okay. Like I said, the cyclists use the road, not the pavements. This is another one. So here we are. This was the old previous. So this is the train line. These are the platforms. This is the Market Street. Okay, Market Inn. They do sell food, and they do quite a long hours as well. So compared to that business to us, we are a very small, and the volume of the business are very, very little compared to other things. I want to compare myself into another business in the area. This is KFC. If you look at the KFC around this area, if you try to go and smell it smells completely fried chicken on the air, the odor and everything. This is the main road. It says reassurance regarding noise and odor. This is from the Jody Williams. I mean, we have got no trouble whatsoever from last 5 years when we were there. And the police has been said no objection. As an environment we use in the borough as a street trader, I am the only street trader who uses a environmentally friendly packaging. So we don't use any of the polystyrene ones. We have got the rubbish bins has been placed. Even though our customers throw their rubbish onto the ground, let's say a packaging, it will dissolve the rain because it's being made out of the sugar cane. I have invested this long time to my business, having a good reputation and everything. And I don't understand why I have been treated like this. This is another one, Star Kebab. The council says around this map, no trader should be traded. But Star Kebab is on the Market Street and trading there. I'm not in this map, I'm outside this map, try to make a living for my two child who has got a neurodiversity. One of them has got autistic, other one has got ADHD, and try to survive and just be independent. This is another place. I don't understand. This is another pitch from another trader. The council decided to put a little payment in there for the trading pitch. This is a main forest road. This is another pitch near to the KFC. There is a street trader has been trading in that road. And there's another one nearby housing development. The parking has a problem on the Market Street, but street trader is still trading. Their license has not been provoked, or they did not come to the panel hearing. I asked the council about this last 10 years, how many objections raised by the Highway Street Trading renewing application? One renewal was refused and went to panel, is subsequently granted by the panel. There have been other applications heard. Review or receipt of representation application. The panel meeting has for at least 10 years were searched. There are 11 cases involving street traders. We have summarized them on the spreadsheet. We have included a brief summary of the outcome and the appeal attached spreadsheet. The information is publicly available on Bracknell Forest website. So this is the application. I am the only female licensing holder, and I am the only one, again, when they mentioned about the granted, it was me again. In that time, I had to convince the panel hearing about the safety of other road users, community, and rest of them is a male owners, and all of them managed to get their granted. Then on the previous one, how many of objections raised by Highway has been seen relevant by a panel or license revoked due to this objection is only mine. Nobody else. It's only mine. Okay. So this is going to be the second time I'm coming, actually third time, and second time about revoking my license. And I'm thinking myself, why me? Why, as a female, want to change a difference in my family's life and have a productive. Before the development, I asked this question, how many objections received by planning department? I also sent my objection to this planning of the site, where I have the number of objections and their reasoning as well. From the Bracknell Forest Council, I received 6 valid objections to application received. One of them is a too many buildings process, reduction in the biodiversity. Proposals also do not take into account about the Bracknell beaches, do not have adequate internal accommodation for family living area, concerns about the traffic, the bottom of top of the Cooper's Hill after construction, and suitability of the heavy construction vehicles for the roads, parking on the old Bracknell lane and east, about single vehicles, increasing residential traffic, increasing congestion, pedestrian, loss of green space, reserved for spaces for the reserved for over 55s, and then insufficient car parking. Now I have written down the council's planning committee you can see on the 18th of April 2021. When there on that road, on that main road, there was a planning application has been done, and the lady named Margaret in the planning department, I have sent this. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing regarding about reference planning application. I'm a street trader. I have been trading on the Crowthorne Road North. The parking on the street never been a problem while the Coopers Hill community stand on that road. I can see there is a need of regeneration on the area. I am sure there will be increased amount of parking on this part of the road after this development completed. There are 52 flats planning to build on the site. There are 52 parking spots in the planning. As you're aware, there will be no limitation naturally who will own 1 car per household. Of course, this will lead to parking on the street. Subsequently, the parking will be stretched on this road. This will not enable us to open our businesses. It will result collapsing our small family businesses. I have started this business after becoming redundant as a public servant. I took loan from the bank, decided to set up businesses. I did not want to be dependent on the benefit system. As a single mother with under 5 years old children, I wanted to be a good role model for my children while I can make earning in my family. The business became a success. I got good reputation business. I employ different people in my business. I want you to point out this as well. During pandemic, no taxi driver was driving in the Bracknell. They could not earn a single amount of money. They could not take any money to their households. Because of the contactless delivery, contactless food delivery, we have got Just Eat and Uber Eats in our van. So we employ those taxi drivers. Per drop, we decide to give them a £5. And so our business also supports economic growth of the Bracknell. As a business, we pay regularly to Bracknell Forest Council, HMRC, macro, accountant, food suppliers. We are worried with the collapse of our business. This will reflect negatively in the economic growth of the region. We also took government-guaranteed bounce-back loan during COVID-19 pandemic in order to ease the cash flow. We borrowed £30,000. So far, we paid £8,000. £22,000 still left. If we cannot meet the repayment of this loan due to parking or it's not resolved, the taxpayer money will not be retrieved due to the shutting the businesses. I am looking for a solution to solve this problem arising from this planning application. I would like to see the planning department to consider my case and come up with a solution to solve the problem for all participating parts in this application. It will be great if we could be adding a clause with the solution in the planning committee meeting to resolve the issues involving all parties. I would like to attend this committee meeting to put my inputs. As a small business, I am looking forward to hearing from you. Unfortunately, I have not received a single response about this, and none of my input has been put onto the objections about this planning. So this was coming up long time ago when the Coopers Hill development has been put it up. Okay, so can you also let me know what there's a housing near Street Trader? Was there any other consultation open? Ask the relevant authorities to renew their licenses. If so, how many of them have reviewed? If I am the only street trader going through this, what is reasoning for this as well? Was there an objection out of blue for a street trader while they are renewing their license? The circumstance of this has been replied by the Freedom of Information Officer, and he is very clearly said the circumstance of the Crowthorne Road street trading site licensing is unique, that we know no other street trading site where the neighborhood has changed from commercial setting to residential setting. We also don't know any other street trading site where the road layout has changed due to the development in the same location as the street trading site. The road was closed on 7th of November to allow street work to take place to connect the new development essential services such as drainage, gas, water, electricity, and telecoms. The road will remain closed until the 21st of January 2023, probably no longer than road realignment and signing and lining. I am very surprised about this gentleman who's adjusted the information, Freedom of Information Officer, knowing all this knowledge. So there must be some talk and pressure in the council about this, about us. And when I look at it, this was not the case. Because when you look at it, East Hampstead Road, This is the 2024 June. There was a huge residential development has been built in there. There was a street trading in there. None of the consultation open for that. And the same things happened to the Bracknell former bus station. There's a Market
Yes,
Street
yes.
in there, and none of them has been opened up. None of the consultation. I just wonder why it's only me going through this stress and everything else. I can understand, you know, the area is changing, and I am happy to comply with the authorities.
Can I just interrupt you there?
Of course.
I don't want to inhibit you in any way from making the points that you wish to make. But I do need to remind you that we are here to consider the application in the location that you are asking for.
I was just going to say that very thing. Your application today will obviously be considered on its merits. We hear what you're saying, or the panel is hearing what you're saying in terms of these other matters, but this panel's not in a position to answer some of these questions that you're posing. So although you can raise matters in support of your case, the panel does really need to decide this particular application on its merit.
And if I could just emphasise that we are looking at this application with an open mind, and we will be considering factors which are relevant to this location. In very broad terms, we are aware of other situations in the borough, and I'm looking at the pack of information that you have sent to us, and I notice that you are referring to a number of matters relating to equality and all the rest of it. You've got comments there about the pandemic, etc. It may be that you feel that there is something in there which is relevant to this particular application. And if there is, we would like to hear about that. But I think all of us are aware of the difficulties businesses have had during the pandemic and associated period. So, as I say, I don't want to inhibit you in any way, but I feel I need to ask you to keep your comments relative to this particular application. Do you wish to continue, or do you wish to summarise, to condense what you want to say? Is there anything relevant to this particular application that you feel that you want to make in addition to that which you have already said?
Yeah, it's about the opportunity for all, opportunity for everyone. And I just want to say this, not excluding anyone. This is from the part of the Bracknell Forest Council's website, basically. That's it, thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you want to say? And I make that point because when we come to the section of the proceedings which require the parties to sum up, you will not be able to introduce any new material. So if there's anything that you wish to say in support of your application, then this is the point at which you need to say it. And can I make it clear that we are looking at this situation with an open mind? It makes no difference to us who the applicant is. We will look at the situation and we will judge it purely on the facts and on the merit of what has been said and presented to us.
So if you do have any particular additional comments that you wish to add, particularly in respect of what you assert is the continued suitability of this site.
I just want you to consider my application, and there are 23 people who've been right to the council, and some of them, I believe, is not being represented in here due to the fact that because some of our customers said they send it, but the website one was wrong, the address, and then it bounced back to their email address. But there are quite considerable amount of people in the public believes that, and I can show you from in my slides with the emails regarding this. When I sent it to Mrs. Ward, I said, can you please tell me how many people are emailing regarding council? And I think the website is not working properly for licensing. These are the feedback I'm getting. This is what you have got in the website. And this email blocking people sending their opinions. And then Mrs. Ward said, I have checked the information on licensing application page. The email is not correct. So we received a part of it, not all of the supporting from the public, supporting our businesses. I don't want to say anything
Is there
else.
anything else you wish
No,
to say?
thank you.
Fine.
Thank you.
There may be, well, there are a couple of questions that I would like to ask. In the trading that you do from your kebab operation, are most of the people who visit there,
Yes, we
do they travel by foot, by bike? Do you do any telephone ordering or anything like that?
Yeah, we do have, during the COVID-19, we have to get to some delivery partners being set up. We had our own delivery driver. We were employing the people from the borough. They were coming and dropping the delivery. So there was no customers coming to the van because of the COVID-19 restrictions. Then the COVID is lifted up. All the before that, we were just having a walk-by passers, families. They were coming, buying their food and leaving. Coming, buying food, they're leaving, either by car or by foot, or where the Mount Pleasant, which is other side of the road, they were walking under the underpath, and then just it's called Mount Pleasant, the flats. So they were coming and buying the food. Same things from the platform. They are coming and buying. There were some businessmen who was doing a meeting in Columbia House, just opposite the road. They were asking us to deliver the food, or they were coming and buying the food and leaving. So it's a mixture of things, I would say.
Are you able to give us a rough indication of the percentage of your trade which is by foot, or people physically visiting? van.
People physically visiting, I would say like around Friday and Saturdays are the most busiest night. Those are the nights we make the money, and but the rest of the week is, especially Tuesday, are very dead. But people who get off the train station, they come and buy their food, they go home. They just wait like 5-10 minutes. We pack their food and they will go home. They're home on the way back to either East Hampstead or around that area. But I would not have an exact number. It just depends on for example, if it's a payday, end of the month, it gets busier. If it's a second or third week of the month, it gets less. But especially with the countries, facing a financial problems and the interest rates up, people are not start buying because of they have to have a prioritize rather than take away. They have to prioritize having their mortgage payments being paid. So they are having like ordering on Fridays rather than Saturday, or they are coming Saturday rather than Friday. So it just changes, sir, because of the economical situation we are in, caused by the COVID-19.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Councillor Allen, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to dig into that a bit more. Do you know how much of your stuff is done by Deliveroo and Uber Eats and that sort of, how much of your business is that a large percentage, or is that a small percentage?
During the COVID, it was a large percentage.
Yeah, but I mean
But now-
currently.
Currently, is very small percentage
Okay.
because we can't find the delivery drivers. They don't turn up. They do have a different things. So we have to just depend on the people who's walking on the street,
Okay.
basically.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Brassard?
Yeah, thank you for that. A couple of questions. Am I correct that your licence actually lapsed on the 6th of November last year? That you ceased trading at that stage?
No, I contacted Mrs. Ward. I asked her on the 3rd of November, what would you like me to do? And she said to me, make an application, make sure there will be no lapse on your license. I made the payment on the 3rd of November for 6 months because of the financial difficulty I have got. I had to think about paying the bounce back loan or having a year license or 6 months license. I made the payment for a 6 months license because I have got that much money in the account. So, and the paying the bits of it with the bounce back loan. And then, yeah, on the 3rd of November. So the license has not been lapsed.
It's not been lapsed or has lapsed?
It has not been elapsed.
It hasn't lapsed. Oh, what do you want? Yes, Chairman's permission.
Is that okay, Chairman? The application was received before the renewal date, so therefore it runs with continuity. So there was no lapse or gap in the consent. So had we not have instigated the consultation period and gone through the process because of the suitability of the site, the consent would have been granted.
Sorry, could I just also clarify? There was talk there about licences. This is actually street trading consent. A street trading licence is a different thing under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act. So if we can talk about consents rather than licences.
But you're not then operating in another county, for instance, Surrey or Hampshire?
Do you have, I address you, Amanda, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, Chairman.
Thank you. We've now reached the point in the proceedings where I ask the parties to sum up the case, and as I mentioned before, we don't accept any new evidence at this point because I have asked the parties to ensure that they say anything they wish to say in the initial stages. So first of all, can I ask you, Amanda, do you wish to sum up your case?
Thank you, Chairman. I think I've covered all areas that I needed to cover when I did the presentation to begin with, so I have nothing further to add, unless anybody has any further questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Oz, do you wish to sum up what you...
No, sir. I have said everything I meant to say. Thank you very much.
You're sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Fine, thank you very much. Finally, before the panel retire, can I clarify?
It's not on there.
Mm.
Go on. It's not on there.
But
No.
probably just would.
Pardon?
I've missed that off the script, so if you want.
Do you wish to say anything, Mr. Scott?
No, I think I've covered everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, everyone's had the opportunity to say
Yeah.
what they wish to say, yes? That's all interested parties. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Adams, do you wish to advise us generally if there are any particular issues that we wish to take into account?
Yes, thank you, Chair. As I said, this is an application to renew a street trading consent under the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1982. Because it is a consent rather than the licence, which, as I just said, is a different animal under that Act, that consent may be withdrawn at any time at the discretion of the Council for any valid and justifiable reason. That discretion that you have is, however, subject to public law principles and duties of legality, procedural fairness and rationality. In reaching your decision based on those principles, and in taking into account all that you have heard and read today, you will have regard to the Council's policy for the determination of street trading consents, which is begins at page 11 of the agenda pack. As you've heard, there have been no complaints about the actual operating of this business. You've heard that environmental health officers said that they would want to reconsider should the consent be granted and once the development is up and running. But there's no complaints as to the actual operation of the business, and that's supported by the comments and references of a number, 23 customers of the business. So the question today is really one about the appropriateness of the continued trading at this particular pitch, and whether what was previously deemed as an appropriate pitch for this business is still so. The Council's policy for the determination of street trading consents, as I said, is at page 11. At one point, paragraph 1.2, it says that in determining the appropriateness, officers are to have due regard, in particular, to a number of listed factors there, including the likely impact of the existing highway users, either as a result of the use of the road by the trader or by the trader's customers. That existing highways users would not only be the customers of the applicant's business, but also other highway users, including the relatively low-level development traffic that is continuing, is currently happening for the site. Another factor to consider is the location relative to any residents or businesses likely to be affected by the use of that site. Paragraph 1.2 does say, although you have particular regard to those listed factors, that's not at, it specifically states that's not at the exclusion of any others. So you can consider the impending landscape changes surrounding this pitch as you deem fit at your discretion. So basically the options for the panel are, as outlined in the application pack, is either to grant the renewed consent or refuse it. If you are minded to grant the consent at your discretion, there are currently standard conditions that attach to those to that consent. You, however, again have discretion to impose any further conditions that you deem fit and appropriate to impose upon that consent. I think that's basically summing up the situation.
Thank you. Right, we will now leave the room to consider our decision. The clerk and legal advisor will accompany us to assist us in any legal or technical issues that arise. Can I ask if anybody has any objection to the clerk and legal advisor remaining with us while we deliberate?
We don't take part in the actual decision making. That's entirely for the panel. I'm there for legal and procedural advice, and the clerk is to record.
Fine. Okay. Thank you. I'll ask you to remain here while we debate, and we will return and advise you accordingly. Thank you all for waiting. I will read the panel's decision in short, and you will get a letter in the next few days giving the detailed arguments and reasoning. After careful consideration of all the information presented to the panel, both written and orally from the applicant and the responsible authorities and interested parties, the panel have come to the decision that the consent shall be granted. In making their decision, the panel took account of the following key points. There have been no complaints from current consultees in relation to the business practices. Having noted the plans and details that presented, that the prospective site is as far away from possible and future residents as is possible. Based on the current estimated developers' initial occupation dates, a granting of a 6 months consent should not materially affect that fact. The panel also noted that there had been no representations made by the police, fire authority or licensing authorities. The panel granted the consent with the continuation of the existing conditions, but to commence for 6 months on the reopening of the pitch. It is noted that appropriate fees have been paid. The panel also noted that should there be a material change in circumstances, then the consent can be reviewed at an appropriate time. I would ask to note that the decision letter will be sent to you within the next 2 working days, and this letter and the detail that it contains will take precedence over this brief oral decision I have just given to you. The panel's decision is binding upon you and the licensing authority. Can I thank you all for attending this meeting, and that concludes the hearing.